remember at that time, Karen Carpenter had just brought the experience of anorexia into the mind of the general public when she died from that. So people were starting to understand what anorexia nervosa was. Bulimia had just been diagnosed, just been brought into the DSM. Binge eating disorder wasn't even a concept. So I was just basically trying to figure out, okay, what is it? What is the common denominator with all of these folks that are struggling? First of all, why is it women and girls? Because that was what was happening at the time. Why is it these particular women and girls? And why is the excuse me, the struggle around food and body?
Yeah.
And so that became my journey of just getting really curious. And because I'm a storyteller, and as a psychologist, I'm a trained story listener, I decided, well, I'm going to listen to their stories very carefully to see
Mhm.
if I can find what is that thread, what is that common denominator. And what I discovered is that these girls and women were like the child in the fairy tale, The Emperor's New Clothes. See, I can't talk without story and metaphor. Because in that story, excuse me, I saw it very clearly. In that story, you have this vain emperor, doesn't care much about ruling his kingdom. And he has quite a reputation for this. And so a couple of con artists come into town and they say, our clothing is so fine, only those fit for their station in life can even see it. Well, the emperor was taken in by these two, and so he commissioned a whole new wardrobe for him. And the con artist pretended to cut and stitch clothing that really wasn't there. But all the people who worked for the emperor went on about the fabulous clothing. Even the emperor himself, he didn't want people to think he wasn't fit for his station in life. And so the con artists eventually they left town laughing all the way to the bank. And now there's this grand procession where the emperor is wearing his new outfit. But of course he's totally naked. But
Mhm.
all the townspeople are oohing and eyeing and commenting on his magnificent clothing because they didn't want their neighbor to think that they were stupid. But there is a child in the crowd that said in a very loud voice, "But mommy, the emperor has no clothes on at all." And when this child spoke, it created a ripple throughout the crowd, and everyone saw the emperor for the fool that he was.
Mm.
What I saw is that these people that were coming to see me, they were like that child in that they had an incredible ability to perceive subtle realities. They could pick up on the vibe, right? They could sense hypocrisy. They could um, tell that things were not okay, even if everyone around them said things are just fine, everything's fine. But because they weren't in a fairy tale, when they spoke up about what they were seeing, they were either ignored or they were rejected. They might have been ridiculed and even in some instances abused for speaking the truth the way they saw it. And so what had happened is they had to find some way to dim their light, to diminish this capacity to perceive these subtle realities, because what they wanted, what all of us want, is a sense of belonging, but they confused that with fitting in. So they decided they had to look like and act like and think like and feel like how they imagined everyone else wanted them to look and act and think and feel. And so they ended up finding that that was really uncomfortable, very painful, but using food in some way helped to soothe or numb or distract, uh, or or help them escape from that discomfort.
Yeah, and when you were telling that story, and I've heard that story so many times, but I was just sort of lost in it as you were telling me this time.
That's your
I
right brain.
Yeah, I was really, really super tuned in to the authorities that we have, like the king. When that's a symbol of authority, right? And
Right.
so, if they were to question even the adults, you think the power structure is going to go adults to children, right? And then we've got the king, who is the ultimate power, and then we've got the parent in this story,
Mhm.
and the authority here is, even if I'm the parent, I'm not going to question the king, right? I'm not going to question him because it could mean off with my head. So we learn to survive in these environments where these myths are propagated. And
Mhm,
that's what came up for me that time you told the story.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, because first of all, there's the external authority, but then we internalize that. And then we have our own inner authority that continues long after you're out of that situation, whatever that may be.
Mhm. Well, and I don't know if chaos was caused in that situation when the child blurts out the truth,
Mm,
right? And had
mm,
the
mm.
innate ability to see the truth and also speak the truth. I wonder if internal chaos
Yeah.
was going on in the minds of people like, what does
Oh,
she mean? What does this child mean?